Welcome. Welcome to the Bonsai Pact. Hello. Hello, Axel. Bonjour.
Welcome all.
hmm hmm
I get the sense that your hair is the living being that is like holding you hostage.
Could be. It could be. You
It's
never
not
know.
your hair. The hair is wearing you.
Yes, my hair has a body. My hair doesn't have body. It has a body.
Do you
It
hear
has
the
always been this way.
fluctuating kind of twist?
Hmm.
Yeah, better in person. Sorry to interrupt. Your hair
No,
is
no.
immaculate and alive and a living and breathing organ. It's always scheming up a storm.
Mm. Yes. See, that's why I had to cut off the hair on the sides here because that is the schemiest of all of the hairs.
Yeah, that's where the smart ass hairs are. Beware of men with what are they called?
Payas
The things.
sideburns.
Sideburns. Sideburns, yes.
Mhm.
How are you
Yes,
today? And just any day.
I'm
Could
good.
be today, could
Yes,
be another day, you know,
but
right
it
now.
is today.
What is the now like for you?
Uh, the now, the now is good. I'm very happy uh, to be in the now as opposed to the was.
Yeah,
I'm glad that
that's really good to hear.
there's still a now.
Yeah,
How about you? What is
I
your
too am
now?
grateful for the now as opposed to the was. And
Hmm.
it's, the only constant is change, it seemingly, but even if as slowly as you can make it, right? Like you can make it almost constant, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can try, you can do your best, but it's not quite there, right? There's changes that are definitely out of your just control. And
Yes.
I think learning to work with those is just kind of as lessons is a good start to to not becoming mentally ill.
That's a good
Like a
goal.
it's a like a form of resilience, you know. I read somewhere in a book um, written in the 50s that mental health can be defined as a resilience to bounce back from catastrophe.
Hmm.
I thought that was well said and right on.
Sure.
I think that
Sure.
same book said that like homosexuality was like some sort of disorder. Try to find that book. I like books
Yeah,
from the
those
50s.
those books are going away. They're being
Yes, dude.
rewritten. They're being quietly
Shoot.
edited.
Yeah, man. There are things that are not being reprinted. Thank God there are publishers that are like republishing, like Styx Hexenhammer.
Mm.
He's probably republished thousands of like occult books, a lot of interesting, rare texts. I
Yes.
mean, he doesn't, and like all sorts of topics. Yeah. What do you want to dive into today?
Well, it is May. It is the
Or what does
beginning
the
of
hair
May.
want? What does the
Uh,
hair want is the real
yes.
question.
Tell me, Fro. I implore.
Gonna make a record in the month of May. It is May.
hmm
What may you do in May?
Or what may you not do? You may not. You may not purchase an Armalite rifle, right? You can't.
Oh, like an automatic rifle, right?
Well, you could always. You could. I mean, you can purchase an automatic rifle if you have a special federal firearms license that
Yeah, you
allows you
just
to
need a
use it.
permit.
But
Like you can do the thing online. It's
yeah, the government
apparently,
wants to know if you have those things, and
of
you
course
have
they
to
do.
go through special checks and stuff.
Put you on the list.
Yeah, no, you're definitely on the list.
But to get a rifle, that freedom seemingly still exists. This is going to be a test for how easy is it really to get a firearm in America. We should document this.
Yes. Well, there are certain states, the constitutional carry states, where you don't need a license to have it open or to conceal it or
Yes,
anything. It just you
that's
carry.
Washington.
Washington is an open
Open
carry
carry.
state, but not a constitutional carry. But because that's for concealed, you still need a concealed
Yes,
firearm
understood.
permit,
Right. You need a
which
permit. You need to do the thing. You need a license to have a concealed carry permit, which is fine. I mean, like you kind of, I guess, it's like I don't care.
I mean, who is that helping? Like, why would they need a registry of people who are exercising their constitutional rights? Then everyone in the United States would have to be on a registry for all the rights they
Yeah,
exercise. It doesn't really make any
it's a
sense.
matter of control. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. That's what it comes down to. It's a matter of how dangerous is this person really if shit hits the fan, or like what are we
Mm-hmm.
dealing here with if they have a warrant.
Oh, right.
But
The With the
yeah,
no knock warrants and uh, those things you should be protected from, like lawful search and seizure. You should be protected against unlawful and unreasonable search and seizure. So having to go before a judge for the police to come in on suspicion of whatever. And they usually like the meme is that they shoot your dog. That's the first thing that they do,
dude, it's
because the
messed up.
dogs are barking at them, and there are a ton of guys making a lot of noise that come running into the room, and the dogs are fucking
Right.
heroes. They're hard coded heroes. They're gonna like either that or they're gonna run away. But usually they challenge whoever comes in. They might not actually do anything about it. They're not gonna bite necessarily unless they're really trained for it. But they'll run up and like, hey, 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 what are you doing here? Hey, hey, we're here
They'll
already.
they'll
You know?
respond
Yeah.
accordingly
And then they
based
get
on the
shot.
vibe.
Yeah. And the
Hmm.
vibe of like a bunch of guys with guns coming into your house is not a friendly vibe. They don't.
Breaking down a door,
Yeah.
yelling,
Yeah. They don't like it. Uh, so
they sense
it's not very
bullshit.
dog friendly. But there was another thing I heard about that seemed more immediate, right? And there's a segue to this
Okay,
from
I'm
the first
following.
position, which is the reason why the AR-15 was banned, uh, ostensibly, is because of mass shootings, which,
So stupid.
like, when you consider the mass shootings done with AR-15s, it's it's not a lot. I think was it 36 last year or 37, something like that, and there are 100 people killed every day with handguns, and between 50 and 60% of that are suicides, and those are males between the age of 15 and 19, most of them.
Yeah,
So, and those are handguns that do that, and
of course.
almost all the crimes that are committed with a firearm are committed with handguns. So it's like picking the least effective statistical move that they could make. It's not about protecting anybody. That wouldn't have the effect of protecting anybody. Well, if
Hmm.
even one person, that's not a logical argument, because then everything is
The
banned
appearance,
forever.
perhaps. You get the
What?
appearance. It's really
The
the only
appearance,
the
right?
optics.
It's
It's really
political grandstanding.
yeah,
So the
indeed.
optics of having a weapon of war means that you can't challenge the state, but what happens when you have a drone, which is not a
Assault
weapon
drone.
of war,
Assault drone. Oh
and
God.
you can make an assault with drones. They're
Of
making
course.
those are getting
But
pretty popular. Like
but it's a
America's big on
linguistic
them.
rhetorical kind of thing. It's a fallacy to call it, you know, call it that, an
An
assault
assault rifle?
rifle. I mean, maybe not a mistake, but it's not accurate.
No.
What makes it assault? What the fact that it's automatic or like bursts?
An assault is on a hardened defensive position, and the schools, which are gun-free zones, are not hardened defensive positions where anyone is looking to defend. So it doesn't require an assault. It's
You need a
it's a
star fort.
crime. It's not. Yeah. Yes. Schools should be in star forts. They should be those those kids should be at home, so the person who is trying to kill a bunch of kids will have to defend will have to get past their parents, and they'll only get one set of kids at a time. That's the way to keep mass shootings from happening, is
Don't make it
people
difficult.
taking care of their own. Make it, yeah, exactly. Make sure
It's like
that everyone
wolves.
has guns. If you went like that,
Yeah,
the lady
you're right, dude.
who chose those schools, they chose. Why do they choose movie theaters? Why these are gun-free zones? These are all places where people don't have guns because they're fucking cowards. Anyone who shoots children is a coward. You go into war and shoot people who are looking to kill you. That's
With
brave.
camo on
With camo on.
and
Exactly.
guns.
That's brave or stupid or one, or many other things, but it's definitely not cowardly. Uh, but it's not a fighting chance. The fact that you could, not to be flippant about it too much, but the fact that you could kill a room full of children with literally anything. You don't need an assault rifle. You don't need an AK-47. You don't need a machine gun. You don't need a cannon. You don't need an F-15.
Yeah, you can use
You
you can use other
you can use a
weird shit,
bat.
man.
You
You
can
can use
take a
gender
9 iron.
replacement therapy.
Bingo. You don't even have to do it violently. You can convince them to do it to themselves,
You can
and then it's
use
not even your fault.
poorly strung violin bows. Remember that? That was hilarious.
Dude, I
He's
almost
like,
died.
it was supposed to be so
Right?
tight, and it was
It's
just
like,
like, it was comical.
what?
Your face was just like, that was great, man. The
I laughed
horror,
so hard. I
how
laughed
tightly it
so
was
hard.
strung. And he's like, it
Yes.
doesn't work. Oh man,
How much rosin do
we
you
miss
need?
you, Matt. What
Yes.
a hilarious. I want to hear you two play mandolin like them
Yes. Those soggy
bluegrass
bottom boys
folks.
are bluegrass folks. Yeah, we should do some bluegrass.
I'm
But
done.
well, speaking of
But
assault drones,
assault drones, yes, and the Kremlin today, and I don't know what happened.
did anything happen? Did because I don't,
No, I mean,
I haven't looked at any of it. I've been deep in Dog Park, and I
there's
just saw
there's a
like
video of something. There's a video of two drones being shot down near the Kremlin by something. So, and Ukrainians are being blamed for it. The debris
sure.
fell, didn't harm anybody or anything, but who knows? Who knows whose drones those were?
Did they find the passports magically undamaged attached to the drones after the
Good
right?
one, good one. Their tickets, just like,
Yeah.
man, what
Are
else
they
is on the stage of
the nuclear war bingo? Well, there's Nord Stream got attack
nuclear war bingo?
on the Kremlin. They have assassinating political opposition family members. What else? Hmm.
Bud Light being canceled.
Right.
Not that
Right.
that
There's that.
matters. It's just funny.
Yes. Pisswasser. Like that. It's not. The crazy part is that it's not even beer. Right. Somebody told me
Is it?
that
I don't know.
once a long time ago, and I kind of like forgot about it. I locked it away. That it's like, oh, I
What's
drink
hard?
Bud Light because it's not really beer. It's what? What are you talking about? I thought
It's
it's
watered.
beer. It's a lager beer. Like no, it's uh, water with flavoring and carbonation and a pure grain, like a grain alcohol that provides the drunk part and a beer
Wow.
flavoring. It's not
Wow.
actually brewed.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it's pretending to be something that it's not. It's not what it says on the can. A
I didn't
perfect,
know this, but that makes sense why it tastes the way it does. Like,
yes, and why
terrible.
Dylan Mulvaney is shilling it because he's also not what he claims to be.
This is, you think?
Mm-hmm.
What is he claiming to be that he's not?
He claims to be
uh,
uh, a lady. He claims also to be hot, which I don't know. God love him. It's
he,
horrifying.
it
It's
just sounds like a
exhausting.
person striving for attention,
Mm,
right? And the internet,
sure.
unfortunately, is one of those places where you can get attention, or
Yes.
fortunately, all depends how you use it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. OnlyFans, not a great place for the internet to get attention. TikTok, apparently.
Is
Um,
is that an app, OnlyFans,
only
or is it like?
OnlyFans. Well, it's a site that is an app.
I
It's
see.
it's a web application, sure.
I heard they're not doing so well, or like it's something's not going great for them.
I
I
don't
don't know
know.
what it is.
Probably they probably have like child porn issues because a lot of the
Ah,
models are not of age.
how did Andrew Tate get out of prison?
Uh,
That's funny. I think they were just trolling him.
yeah, maybe
They're
they
like,
just wanted to
screw with
make him
him.
do push-ups.
Be like, in Romania, yeah,
Girls traffic you.
that's funny.
Yeah, maybe.
And
I
for
mean,
the
he's
fact that he's
Muslim
like
now,
Muslim,
right?
yeah,
Which
Akbar,
Allahu Akbar. Yes. I mean, God is great. That's true.
true.
It's so funny. Like a broken watch is right twice a day. So everyone
Hmm.
gets one.
Hmm. But you know what? Do you notice that most presidents going into office claim to be Christian? And it's all exclusively
Yes.
Christian. Nobody's like, I'm
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
Everybody's
yeah.
like, nope,
Being
I'm
Muslim would be
Catholic.
bad. Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah. Ooh, that would change the
Basically
dynamic.
Osama. Basically Hussein. Basically
Basically,
Saddam.
dude.
And he's black and gay and American, clean and articulate. One of the first clean, articulate black men. Amazing. You imagine that? He's a lawyer. I don't know. I don't know they make black lawyers. They're gonna try and put you all back in chains. You don't vote for me, you ain't
it,
black.
Here's a question I have. Who gave birth to his children? To Obama's children? Michael?
That's a question for Pete Buttigieg and his husband. They probably know the process.
Probably know the surrogate.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's the Mohap conspiracy. There are two videos I've seen that demonstrate the
Could you elaborate?
failure
I
to
haven't heard.
tape. Well, her
Michael?
dancing on Ellen, and there was another, and
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
coming out
disturbing.
of the house. The worst one I saw was coming out of the house wearing a dress, like hopping down the stairs like a total dude, and in a dress where you could kind of see a lot, and there was a
Hmm.
lot of movement of an item.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Dylan Mulvaney wants us to normalize girls having bulges, but girls don't have bulges. That's a man. That's a man, baby. In Austin Powers.
That's.
So it is a man.
I mean,
It is a man.
do you think that's that? Okay, how? What is the possibility? Okay, that this is what I want to know. The possibility of that ta having taken place in front of the American public without anybody bringing attention to it. The possibility of that being the case. What is the probability of that? Like percentage wise? Like what are your thoughts? Like when you think about it, like looking at it in retrospect and having information, video evidence, it's just like it's kind of daunting. But then, like, he was in office for 8 years.
Mm.
How did, how do you, was this like a humiliation ritual on, in regards to the public, like for deceiving? You think it was just like, what the fuck? I don't
Well,
understand.
um, the
What do you make of
illustrious
it?
Miss Joan Rivers said that he was gay. So I don't know if it's a humiliation ritual. I think it might be something that he is into. Um, it would certainly explain his manner in a lot of ways, um, like the way
Hmm,
that he acts, the way that he speaks.
really?
Uh, I don't know, but
Remember he
a
smoked when he
lot of
got into
people would
office?
have to. Remember he what when he got to office?
He smoked. He would like sneak out in the White House and like have cigarettes.
Did he really? I don't remember that. I
Yeah,
remember
you can
the
look it
the
up.
jokes about Uncle Joe Biden. Like he was fixing the Dodge Challenger on the lawn of the White House. Like they used to make jokes about him, like he is some Southern hick. You know, but yeah, now he's a political genius. He's getting stuff done. Dark Brandon. Did he like embrace the meme? Oh,
Yeah,
what about
he
Dark
did.
Brandon? Great political strategy. Like, of course, people can lie in public and keep it up when the media squashes everything that is contrary to the narrative, when it forces so continually, so seductively, so persistently one particular story. And you can hide it in plain sight because everyone else said, well, how don't you think we would all know if something like that was so obvious? They can't possibly do that in public. Everyone would know. How many people get close to the president? Secret Service keeps everybody at a distance. Everybody. And the people who are close, the Secret Service is up their ass. Right? Like those you don't get close to the president and then look to fuck it up. They have everything you do tapped and looked at and watched. Like, you think you work in the White House or you get to see the president and the first lady boy in in office, and they don't have you by the short and curlies? Of course. Like, what is it's compromat, right? What is Epstein? What is all of that stuff? It's leverage. So if you if you can just accept the fact that power players in politics use leverage to uh, get their way surreptitiously without calling attention to themselves, and that's their goal, is not to call attention to themselves, and it's really easy to imagine. And you don't even have to imagine. You could see them lying and covering it up in real time with concerted efforts across the space, with deliberate efforts to uh, diversify, to hide companies and shell companies, and to put from one pocket into another through a long circuitous route so that nobody can track it. Like, it's as if these are new people who don't know anything about power. Like, of course they can keep it a secret. I mean, aren't
I
there
mean,
things you keep a secret?
9/11.
9/11.
I mean, even
They.
now, it's just like now it doesn't even matter.
That's why
That's
they
I think
hide it
that's the
for
whole
years.
point of it. Like
Hmm.
after a certain point in time, there's zero accountability that can take place in retrospect.
Yes, the statute of limitations
Yeah.
by and they decide their own statute of limitations that benefits them. It's very handy, very handy. Oh, we'll release the full data from Pfizer in 75 years. Oh, we'll tell you about how the CIA killed JFK in 75 years. Well, it's going to be 100 years before you can get that data. Uh, yeah, no, we can't tell you about that yet. You know, that's too dangerous for those people. Yes, you'll all die, but it's too dangerous for the people that matter to us. I'm in conspiracy theory territory here. I'm
Valid.
not qualified to talk about any of this. I don't have the proper credentials, which are controlled by the people who make up the narrative. So, fortunately, fortunately, I don't know anything, and no one will believe me. So, why would they pay any attention to somebody who doesn't matter saying shit that doesn't affect them?
No, but probability wise, what are your thoughts on, do you think it was feasible that that took place and the public just bought it up like they like the Iraq war, like they did
Sure,
9/11,
sure.
like they did everything else?
Yeah, Gulf of
Up is
Tonkin,
down.
Bay of Pigs,
Subversion.
like the Gulf War, like weapons of mass destruction. The list goes on. The Pentagon Papers, the what else? Gee, the Epstein
There's so many
client
more.
list, right? You go to jail for something and for selling something to somebody, and there you don't have any somebodies to sell it to. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, but you mentioned something in the beginning about how all the presidents feign being Christian in the beginning.
Yeah, as a obviously as a grift to get more people to vote for them,
Yes, yeah, it's pandering. I
right?
mean, the it's pandering. They do. It's the same reason why Hillary Clinton said, "I ain't in no ways tired. I've come too far. No how." You know, I always
Dude.
carry hot sauce in my wallet, and it's why
Oh my gosh.
it's why they change their tone. It's called code switching in front of different
Yeah.
groups to pander to those groups, which is just a. I mean, I understand. There's the mirror neuron system. You try to like personality match and energy match. We kind of equilibrate our our levels to people. Like if somebody's super loud, then and excited, then you can kind of get loud and excited with them and play along.
Yeah.
Or if if everyone's real serious, you would feel weird being exuberant amongst a bunch of serious, reserved people. So
Feedback.
there, yeah, and that kind of balances things out. And then if there's a enough people, a vocal enough minority who say it repeatedly, they can push the public opinion far enough in one direction, or pretend that they've pushed it in one direction, because they tell you the polls like, see, everyone agrees with us. If you don't agree with us, and everyone listening to it is like bullshit, but they still go on and do it anyway because they can. It's like politics is like it's the ultimate performance art. It's modern
Oh
art in
yeah.
that sense because it's whatever you can get away with, and it
Yes.
doesn't have to be good.
Yes. It's like salesmen of ideology.
And they never deliver, never, except
Yeah.
on the terrible stuff. Like we will fight them in the trenches, we will fight them in the air, we will fight. Oh, we it did that, and then
What's new with Twitter?
Twitter. I do not know what is the deal with Twitter, but hopefully it knows to stay quiet. Oh, you're muted. Uh, but what are you seeing on the tweets on the
Oh,
tweeter?
I don't know. I I'm asking because I'm not really following the Twitter situation
Hmm.
since
It
since
seems
Elon took
normal.
over. The first couple months were pretty entertaining.
Hmm.
Seems like it's
Yeah,
balancing out. Seems like it might survive in whatever crippled sh shell will form. Or maybe that's just the medium itself. It's what you get when you put in, you know, minimal amount of characters or maximum amount of characters. And I think that's just the nature of the product itself, the
hmm.
medium itself.
It's ephemeral. It's not meant to last. It's very
Yeah, like
momentary.
it's great for spreading memes though, and meme is the smallest unit of an idea.
Hmm.
So it's something that could potentially be used as a tool to make something go viral. Maybe
Yes.
that's why Elon was so drawn to that, like a moth to the flame.
Yeah, it's where a lot of attention is, and they're. I mean, he's an engineer. He wants to iterate. He wants to see data. And it was called like the fire hose. Drinking from the fire hose is the data stream that Twitter produces. Because there's so many interactions all over the world across demographics and topics, and it's
Yes, it's
you know
valuable
it's
information.
all cross-referenced, and to find out what people are really thinking, so that we can make them think the thing that we want them to think instead. Find out how people formulate opinions so that we can influence their opinion to be the one that benefits us. Let's give people the tools to share information with each other and then give them the information to share and suppress the stuff we don't want shared. It's very simple. Very simple. They don't have good intentions. They want to make money. So, what good could come from it?
What good can come of NASA? All the inventions.
The GPS, without NASA, they wouldn't have a way to track you all the time. Thank God for that, right? You wouldn't know what to do and you were lost, when we drive down by the river, you wouldn't be able to find a place to park if you didn't have Google Maps. You know, that's super important. You try to find out where a place is and you know its name. It's really cool. It's important. But NASA, besides that, I think they waste a lot of fucking money. And if they were an actual company, if they were a real company, not a not a fascist, corporatist arm of the you know, deep state propaganda machine,
Well done.
then then they would actually produce something of value for
Yes.
people. Uh, I mean, like a lottery is not a corporation that produces value. You could say something like, well, people enjoy doing it, so that's a value. No, like a corporation that makes guns is a corporation, right? And if they made guns that didn't shoot, then it wouldn't be much of a corporation. If they made guns that,
They
you
wouldn't
know,
remain in the market.
would shoot you when you tried to shoot somebody else, or like whenever you tried to defend yourself and other people came in, your gun would get shut down. They could turn your gun off from a distance, remotely. Then it wouldn't be much of a weapon. So, yeah, I think it's a tool not for the people using it, but for the people using it.
Hmm.
That's what I think it is. NASA is the
Ah,
same way. Like, hey, look up there, look up. It's the opposite of that "Don't Look Up" movie, which I didn't see, but I saw I saw reviews of it. What it's
don't
about.
look up or look up.
I thought it was "Don't Look Up" or was it "Look Up"?
About
Either way.
chemtrails?
Oh no, that's a different one. This wasn't this one about. Um, yeah, see, I didn't see it, so I don't know. But there was one about like these people, like, oh, it's the environment. Like, there's an asteroid coming, and people are like, just don't look up. I think it was something like that. Like, we have to do
Uh,
something. But
huh.
I think some female scientists saved the day. I believe. Uh, of
Well, that's
course,
good.
of course, as they always
Glad
have.
somebody came through.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, women got us to the moon in the first place. It'll be women who save us from the moon people when we anger them.
Might have made
Uh,
the sandwiches they took to the
yes,
moon.
yes. I mean, who else made sure that the astronauts weren't hungry on their long trip?
In their tin can,
Yes.
passing through the Van Allen radiation belt in a tin can.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's funny. But hey, it's something that people are really attached to as a form of an identity. As America was the first. America was the first. The Russians were like, well, we sent the first dog.
Yes, Laika. Laika, I
Laika,
read
yeah.
about that. Yes. That's that's such a famous story. I remember reading that in an encyclopedia and thinking, "Fuck space." I was probably like 12, I
Yeah,
think, or 13 when I read that. I
interesting.
was like,
Yeah,
fuck space. Fuck these people. Why would you send a dog up there to go die of heat exhaustion? You think it's hot in a car? You don't want to leave a dog in a car this far away from the sun, except you're going to send it closer to the sun in a car, and you can't even crack a window. That's terrible. That's a terrible
did
idea.
it die?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I think I mean all of they live for some period of time, but they're testing to make sure humans can do it, and the reason why
Yeah,
the humans did it, like, what is the point of going to space? What is the fucking point of going to space? You can't figure out anything here on Earth, but
that's that's the real
but
question,
let's
man.
go to space. People are starving to death here, but we're gonna spend like how many million dollars a day on the space program? How many millions of fucking dollars? People are starving. Buy somebody a fucking sandwich instead of building another rocket that blows up. It's it,
Wise words. Fix the water in Flint.
hey, stop putting fluoride in the water everywhere. Just as a suggestion.
It's a
I
good
mean, it might
start.
be a cool idea. Let people have farms. Let people.
Maybe raw
Uh,
milk.
yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The dichotomy of you can't drink milk from your own cows. That's only going to hurt you if it's a problem. Uh, or people because they want to drink it. So consent doesn't matter when it comes to drinking unpasteurized milk because unpasteurized milk is evil and unsafe regardless of consent. But a child of 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years old, 16 can take can unbalance their hormones with the opposite sex hormones and take those and ruin their organism. It's a very delicate balance hormones, and they ruin that. They can feel free to do that because that's consent. That's their. They can choose to hurt
Choice.
themselves that way.
Imagine that being disguised as choice,
Yes.
as freedom. That's the inversion, the subversion. That's the same thing as what
Yes. Yes.
people are accepting as normal life. Maybe that's why
Mm-hmm.
the subversion has to happen in plain sight, almost as like that's why I was saying it was like almost like a humiliation ritual
Mm.
for them to be able to do it out and for people not
Oh.
to know. It's almost like a sense of power that they acquire
Yes.
through that
Yes.
deception alone, because
Yes.
it's like they can fool you about the weather, they could probably fool you about something else. And
Mm.
Yuri Kilovich once put quite succinctly, he said, he's like, if you can control 15 people, you can probably control 50. And if you can control 50 people, you can probably control 100. And it just, it goes on and on. The scope grows
Mm-hmm.
depending on how.
And the right people. If you choose people who have
Oh, it's
incredible
a
influence.
self-selected audience, that's for sure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can say
But
that. But yeah, I'm gonna get a shotgun. I've always wanted one.
it's a
I
good time.
figured figured yeah, I just wanted a shotgun just to have around, just like a small tactile or tactical, not tactile, but it's very tactile thing. I want something smaller, something like a Remington or like you said, what was the other company? The
Mossberg.
Mossberg, yeah. I'm looking
Hmm.
at a couple different just
Yeah, the
pawn
870.
shops and stuff. The
The Reming
870s.
870 is the classic. Been
Yeah,
around since the 50s.
super reliable.
Yeah.
They're small.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's part of the. I mean the shotgun form has been around a very long time. It was a trench gun as well. Better than a rifle, even though a rifle is a high powered cartridge that can engage enemies at longer distances accurately, and you're generally making a one shot, one kill sort of situation. You're firing for effect, whereas if you're clearing trenches, the shotgun is there's a direction, there's where people would be coming from, and you don't have a lot of time to be shooting, and you could miss a couple. So you come around a corner and you shoot 9 rounds immediately in there. Pow, 9 more. Pow, pow, pow. Right? That's in buckshot. So those are all 38 bullets.
Yeah.
It's like a really quick burst. That's basically a full auto weapon that it all occurs at the same time instead of in sequence. So if people were really thinking about what an assault weapon is,
Yeah.
uh, shotguns are used in assault like for urban settings more than an AR-15 is actually not unless it's a shortened model. They usually have a short-barreled carbine, which is what is called a short-barreled carbine or
hmm
uh,
But they're less accurate, right?
a pistol. Yeah, yeah, but accuracy at short distance is not. It's not the issue because you have spread. Because like this is the area that's going to get hit with something. So you can miss. You can point the gun, a
Yeah.
shotgun. You could be off by 10 inches, and you're still going to get a piece of them. With
Yep.
a
I've shot
regular rifle.
plates with like a double barrel shotgun, and it was so
You want
satisfying. And if
both
it was,
barrels at the
it was
same
one of
time.
those,
Cook.
it was one of those. Uh, you do the you don't.
Lever
It's not
action.
the
Lever.
so
Mm-hmm.
satisfying to use one of those. It's like just the feeling of the lever action between
Yes.
each shot is fantastic. I think
Like
Joseph actually had one.
Oh, I
I'm gonna
see.
ask him if
Yeah,
he still
lever
has that
action.
gun.
Was it a Henry?
It might have been.
Yeah,
It was an
the old
older
Henry.
American gun.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a classic style.
Double
Uh,
barrel.
yeah,
And
and
we had
the
plates.
4570. That's a bear gun. That's a huge. It's a huge round. Yeah. And they also have shorter weapons that are meant for like riding. They stick in your saddle for riding a horse, and they're shorter, so they're
Hmm.
more maneuverable in a close space, or for varmints,
Uh-huh.
because turning quickly is something you need to do in that situation. Uh, yeah, it really depends. I mean, operators are trained with handguns as well because they're very concealable, and if you drill on reloads, having a 9 millimeter, Beretta 92 FS, or something with 15 rounds in it, even if it has 10, even if it's the minimum, like you have 10 rounds,
Yeah.
a 10 round magazine in a Colt 1911, 45. If you instead of like spraying, people think like, oh, you spray a lot of bullets, you're going to kill a lot of people. It's like you don't realize how much you miss. People don't understand how much there are missed shots in firefights. Like people don't usually take the time to aim; they're scared. But if you're not scared, if you're trained and you want to go into the situation and get something done that you want to do, then it's very simple to do that with any weapon platform, like any one.
Truly.
Uh, and with a pistol, especially with if you use subsonic rounds, you can put a suppressor on there,
Right.
and
So those are
it's
specific
loud, but
rounds, huh?
yes, they have low powder, and so their effective
Uh-huh.
distance is much shorter, but they're not meant for engaging a
Yeah.
distance. They're meant for quiet, for up close and personal. Like you want to,
Yeah.
that's what extends your active time in a kill zone is stealth. So if you can engage the time between engaging the first enemy and security being alerted to your presence,
Yes.
that's when you
I played
lose
Hitman.
the surprise. Exactly,
Great game.
exactly.
Fantastic game.
Fantastic game. This
His
is
double guns were really
the
good with the
dual wield.
silencers.
Yeah,
They were
yes.
fantastic. They were my favorite. And then at some point, I ended up using a cheat code after I like beat the game a whole bunch of times to
Yes.
go into like God mode so you can acquire any weapon. That was cool. That was
Dude,
interesting.
it's so much fun. I did the same thing with Fallout. I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of games. There's a point like playing the missions is fun, and then you're like, okay, let's see what the upper limits of this game
yeah,
are. What would this
yeah,
be
yeah,
like
yeah,
if? And that's also fun. But then that's usually the end of the video game. Once
yeah.
you've done it doesn't give you any enjoyment because it's not hard. Although
The challenge.
it can be kind of you can get enjoyment, or at least I can, like relaxing enjoyment from doing something like repeated,
There's
and
progress, right?
it's not stressful. Like the idea is that there's a continuity to it, and if
Yeah,
you keep dying and you have to reset and go, like that's kind of annoying. It breaks up the flow of the experience as you're moving through a world, and doing things like looking at little pieces of stuff. I don't know. That's pleasurable just to look at things. Just looking at things is pleasurable. Doesn't have to be too much.
yes, the visual world is very enticing.
Mm. Yes.
What else is new in the world? Ah, there's something. Is it Crowder? Crowder and that
Oh, the
bombshell. Yeah.
Crowder,
Him
yes.
and him and twins and
Married
his wife.
couple has a spat.
Dude, not good for his brand.
No,
Because
no, it's
conservative
not.
family values. We'll
No.
see how public it gets. Sounds rough though. Wish
Yeah,
him the best.
I mean, it's not. it's crazy though. It's like it's not anybody's business, uh,
It's
right?
Candace
And
Owens' business.
sure, sure. Well, Candace has to stick her nose
She really does.
anywhere she can. Um, there are certain
Pray
people
for
who
Steven Crowder. That was so condescending. Uh,
is that what she said? Pray for Steven Crowder. Yes, yeah, that's right.
she's like he's going through a lot in his
I mean,
life
he
or something like
is.
that. Yeah,
If she was genuine about it, yeah, that's great. I
yeah,
mean, even if she wasn't genuine about it, I'm glad she said. I'm glad she said it. Even if she's a completely disingenuous, grifting liar,
yeah.
she still said something that's true and that people should do. So,
But at the same
like, out of
point,
all the
I think
things,
I think she was just drawing to the attention to the fact that he was vulnerable. That could be another factor, you know.
oh yeah, yeah,
She's like, oh, look
it's
at Steven, he's going through a lot.
mm, yeah, it'd be a
I mean,
shame
but
some
aren't they on the
nice
same
empire
kind
he
of
got.
political side though? Why would they? Oh, it's the Daily Wire,
Yeah, because Crowder's been independent. He's been
right?
doing his own thing. I mean, he did a long time ago. He was on, he did some Fox stuff, but that's just like general right wing because he's a comedian. Uh, but yeah, I don't know when you espouse values, then they look to bring you down with hypocrisy, which really only serves one side because anyone who is actually a Christian would know that you can't judge somebody for what they go through. They would immediately go to like, am I looking for the speck in Steven Crowder's eye? Well, I don't notice the huge beam in my own. You know, have I talked like a piece of shit to people I love before? Have I handled myself like an absolute king in all of my relationships? Would all of my conversations that I've had to people, if they were made public, would I look good? Am I the one to be talking about this conversation or that like I felt the same way about Biden with his sons, you know, the way he is with
Indeed.
Hunter and that kind of stuff. That the father and son thing is universal, and I can't say anything about that. I mean, he's a fucking criminal, and Biden is a creepy fuck, and that's objective, right? But that has nothing to do. That doesn't like affect the sanctity of the relationship between the father and the son. You can be a piece of shit and still try to do right by your son. I
Yeah.
don't think he's doing that, but who am I to say? Like, I don't know what justice is for him or what it looks like. I can't say. I mean, but still, you shouldn't let your petty bullshit come in between uh, the parents and the children. That's breaking up the family. Whatever their disagreements are, they don't matter. Whatever her attitude is, or not taking the dogs out or taking the dogs out, it doesn't matter. Whatever his fucking pointing with his toes, smoking a cigar, condescending shit, doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't
The
matter because
toe
you're.
wiggling
It's hilarious, man. It's hilarious.
and the
Like
cigar. The fact that
I
he's
laughed.
smoking
I
a
laughed
cigar.
so fucking
Oh god,
hard.
me too.
Uh, right? Because it's cringe as fuck. But who doesn't
That
remember
doesn't work
thinking,
either.
yeah, that doesn't work either. Yeah, I mean, he's a cartoon character. He's lived as a cartoon character for so long. People
He was,
love his
yeah,
cartoon character.
he's a voice actor.
He was a voice actor. Like that's
He's Arthur.
which is a way that he was able to make money and to be successful through his weird fucking talent and his like the way that
Yeah,
his mind works, the way that he can like obsessively continually repeating things and referencing and has all of this.
yeah, movies.
Yeah, that's such I relate to that in a lot of ways. and I have
Mm.
sympathy for him in that case, because like he's just a nerdy kid who found a way to be successful, and
Who found his
some
audience?
people hate him. Yeah, some people love him with good reason. Anyone
Yeah.
who it's not like he tells the truth. It's like there is truth, and he will tell it sometimes.
Yes,
Uh,
that's a good way to put it.
you know,
It's a
it's
great way
like,
to put it. Yeah, that's how I see it too. It's not always
but
guaranteed.
yeah,
I mean, it's like sometimes Russell Brand will do it, or
sure.
whatever.
And then
He's been up to
sometimes
good
he's
things.
absolutely retarded.
Absolutely.
Sometimes
Like
it's just
full Russell.
yes. I felt the same way about every public figure. I could go down the list. Uh,
Hmm.
Richard Dawkins, uh, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Yuval
Yeah.
Noah Harari, uh,
Yeah.
so many. Sam Harris,
Yes.
um, Gad Saad, so many public people. Jordan Peterson,
Peter Jordanson.
Peter Jordanson, like all these lunatics. They're all just people. Every one of them is the same person as all of their critics.
Mm.
They're the same child that was beyond reproach and innocent. They remain inside of that body.
Oh
They're
yeah.
acting out their desires. They
No
are
doubt. They're externalizing something.
yes, and like to confuse the truth of what people say with the person themselves is an error on the part of the
Hmm.
listener. It's not like, well, you should have upheld the standards that I created in my head for you when I was watching you, and I thought that you would be this way forever, and you're
Yeah.
not, and that's your
Uh-huh.
fault. Like, no, no, that's not how it works. Everyone is a human being who goes through ups and downs and trials, and if you want something stable and consistent and unchanging and above reproach and 100% good, well, there's only one place you can get that.
Anime.
Only one. Yeah, Amway. Yeah, is that what you
Amway or
said?
anime? I said anime.
Anime.
But either one works. Either one works perfectly
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
What was that
Yes.
place though? What?
it's
IKEA?
it's Jesus. There's only one perfect human. There only ever will be one. Uh, and what else? What could be beyond reproach? All humans are fail, every single one. So it's
Hmm.
like I don't know. That's no human is the standard for judgment. It can't be.
I agree
It
with you there.
it doesn't make any sense because people are easily surpassed day after day. Records are broken. So how can you have a standard? If the standard changes, it's not a fucking standard. There's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there
I mean, this
is a
whole
standard.
the debacle with just the trans records being or women's records being just completely blown out of the water by grifters.
Yes.
There's always going to be a few bad apples who are going to try to abuse the system to gratify their ego or the lack of their talent or find some way to try to get ahead based on some
Yes.
loophole, whether it's gender or whether it's weight or whether it's steroids. I
Sure.
wonder how women feel about the fact that that's happening and completely destroying their. If I was a woman, I'd be pretty angry about that.
Mm.
I'd be I'd be pretty. What would that feel like? What would that feel like to be a woman and to see your records being beat by, the opposite gender, obviously, but not being able to say anything about that.
Well, I think
Or
yeah,
or
it's kind of
you
crazy.
can. Like, are they repressing it all? Are they in agreement with the ideology?
Maybe they understand deep down in the real place of their minds that women's sports are already a confection, already a concession, and that they cannot beat men at sports. The men who are the top at sports will always beat the women at the top of those sports. That's why they are separate, is so that women can
Yeah,
compete amongst themselves.
of course.
Not every that doesn't mean all men can beat all women. That just means that the men who are the best at it, it will always be men at the top, always, always. And there's like a big space where it's all men, and then much later down you get some women peppered in, but most of them are at the bottom. Right? It's
Here, there's a
like
gradient. It goes men,
yes,
feminine men,
yes,
women.
yes, and then they filter in. It's like men are up here. These are all women, and then like this is where you get your gray area,
It's
right?
the testosterone gradient.
Right, right. I
It's
mean, it's
just
also size too. It's like because men come in
mhm,
different shapes and sizes. You know,
triangles
it,
and shit.
like a 120-pound sumo wrestler ain't gonna cut it. Gonna get flattened because you can't move 400 pounds with 120 pounds.
No,
If that
no.
400 pounds does not want to be moved, you're not moving it. It doesn't happen. So,
Is
like a
sumo still a
120
thing?
pound woman,
Is sumo still
yeah,
happening?
sure,
Like, is
sure.
it
There's got to be.
thriving?
I mean, wrestling is huge in Japan. It's
Oh,
almost had
okay.
more respect than wrestling here. It's
Really?
again the Japanese take something that's American and they do it so seriously and with such honor and with such commitment and conviction that like it becomes
Really?
yes
So is it
praiseworthy.
sumo or is it just wrestling? Or those
It's
two are
wrestling. It's like
okay. So is it
it's
like
U.S.
actual wrestling or
No, not
WWF?
Greco-Roman. It's
Oh,
WWE, WWF. Yeah, that kind of
okay.
wrestling. Yeah, when I say wrestling like that, a lot of people, if you were, I don't know, an ancient Greek, you would know what I was talking about wrestling. Then it would be very different. But as an American, you talk about wrestling, you mean the
Pretending
theatrical.
to get hit? No,
Yeah, it's like you
of
go to
course,
the
it's
theater and there's all this
bread and
talking
circus.
bullshit. You know, there's a play, and every once in a while in a play like in Shakespeare's plays, there's a fight scene. That fight scene lasts a couple of minutes, but it's exciting, right?
Yeah,
You
sword
know,
fight.
and there yeah that kind of thing. So it's like, what if there was a play that was all sword fights and just a little talk in the beginning, a little talk at the end? It's like movies that have a sex scene in them. That is a film, right? And then there's movies that's like it's about the rest of the film, and the sex scene is a point in the plot that somehow serves the entirety of the plot or needed to be there as a point. But
Uh-huh.
with porn, the point of the film is the sex scene, and everything else is just a like, oh hey, your pizza's here, right? And then bow, 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 bow,
Yeah,
bow, right? It's
plot.
that's the relationship is inverted between sex scene versus narrative.
Interesting.
So with
Yeah,
wrestling, to me, it's like all fight scene, a little bit narrative. It's the porn version of a play for
that's
men.
so funny.
Like so, it's the athletic. It strictly focuses on the athletics of the play. Just the fight scene. There's no King Henry. There's no out damn spot. You
Yeah, it's just
know, there's
ready,
none of
set,
this.
go, and there's
Methinks this
drama.
lady. Yeah. Until like the lights go off,
I'm
or it's
not
the
surprised it
entrance.
caught on in Japan. They're they're very they're very kind of a story oriented culture.
Mm. Yeah, kabuki, like overacting, is a
Theater,
Japanese
yeah.
thing. Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
like with the makeup and the big you know, and they tell a tale, and it's simplified and stylized.
The
So it's
overacting, could it be a way to compensate for their in kind of an inexpressive stoic nature?
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yes. I mean, the Italian school, the Roman school, is like that as well. Like very intense, big emotions, big features. You're either
Yeah.
yelling or crying or whispering. Like there's no normal. There's no normal thing. It's everything has to be kind of an extreme, like a romantic ideal. That's where that comes from. That whole style of emotional expression,
Mm.
embraced in the art form, which it's not embraced in the culture. And I guess the Romans they're pretty buttoned up people most of the time. Very
They
rule
made
following,
they made fantastic aqueducts.
Yes,
There's some
yes.
that still stand in France.
In La
Wonder
France.
I wonder if Matthew will see any while he bikes his way through France with
It's so incredible to me. Like
gosh,
he's
we should send him off with a GoPro to stick to his helmet whenever he's on the bike. That way, when he's going through the most beautiful parts of it, he
yeah,
just put in the 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 the,
yeah,
the card, and then
for
we
sure,
can we can do something with that footage.
dude. Let's do that.
We can
Okay,
just
I'm
sit down and
100%.
watch it.
Yes, yeah. We'll get him
We
one
can
of those
experience,
with a
and knowing
big.
Matt, he'll go out of his way to entertain us.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be
Especially if
good.
he doesn't have to, like, if he could wear it, like
Yeah.
body cam style. Then he wouldn't have to
Yes.
hold it and do stuff. He could, be in
Yeah.
the world because he's kind of like um, it sort of reminds me of like dogs when they have like a thing that they like to do, so they'll hold on to the ball, but uh, like when they're walking down the street with a holding a stick, like this is what I'm about, but it kind of it hamstrings them a little bit when they're get the collar off me, get all this stuff off me, like I got to get into business. I'm busy, I'm doing stuff. I got to wrestle. I can't be held back by all of these things. He's kind of like that. He has that sort of Labrador enthusiasm a little bit. He's like he's ready to go at
Yeah.
it. If
Definitely
just
does.
strap a like a cat cam, they're not holding shit. They don't care about it. But like strap it to the cat and go meet their friends. You've seen those videos, right? Where they put
Some.
a
Yeah.
GoPro on a cat and they go talk to other cats. It's pretty
And
cool.
Matt, it's and the
Yes.
perimeter that they go pretty phenomenal. Like sometimes it's up to like many miles
And their parkour, incredible.
on fleek.
Cats,
I gotta watch
man.
some more of those videos.
Cat parkour.
Yeah, they're just cameras on cats.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
yes,
cameras
I
on
hope he has a
cats.
great time in France.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we'll figure out his cat sitting situation that just got thrown at
Yes.
us. She was just like, by the way, you're
Yes.
watching our cats. Da 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 da. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
He's like, you can sleep there. We're like,
Hmm,
maybe,
maybe.
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 Okay.
Maybe.
As it gets closer, I'll have a better sense of what my schedule will be, and
Yes.
we'll
And
do our best. But multiple people would be best.
yes, I'll be I'll be sitting, so I could visit, you know, uh, them during the day, because there's a certain amount of time. Cats can really be alone a lot. They don't
Yeah.
they don't care. But if somebody, you don't even have to really stay there. Some people will leave their cats in the house with food and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know. We'll handle it one way or another. if they have
Yeah.
to. Even if we have to hire a vagrant from the street, a kind-looking vagrant, and say, "Hey,
That
you
we
you need a
will.
place to stay, right? Why don't you
Yeah.
stay and look
We got a
after these
bed for you
cats?
to
Don't
sleep
eat
in.
them." Yeah.
Got a place for you to sleep.
Yeah. Are you tired of sleeping on flea-infested mattresses that have been sitting out in the rain?
Do you
Well,
play guitar poorly?
yes, yes. Would you like to get your filthy fingers all over Matt's guitars? You know that thing that you were picking parts of shards of your skin off your toes with? Yes. Well, you could use those as picks.
It amazes me how many instruments like used to use animal parts, like
Yeah.
tortoises. Like, wouldn't they make picks and pick
Yeah, yeah.
guards out of tortoises?
Tortoiseshell, yeah,
It's
and
fucked up.
capish shell. I mean, the gut strings as well. Like before
Yeah.
metallurgy really got to be what it is. I mean, it was cat gut. They were stringing up cats like, I want to let's hear a tune.
Sounds like a terrible
Meow.
time to live in. The cat
Yes, to
gut,
be a cat.
or to be a
Yeah.
cat. Yeah.
Yeah, bad to be a cat, but
Hey, come
even the
out to
basses.
even the basses. Cat gut.
It's a
Hmm.
lot of gut. And if I remember correctly, a lot of it gets chewed. It wasn't done with tools like even bows
You
with
serious?
gut string bows as well,
Dude,
where like
who
they
would
chew
chew 'em?
them into each other. Yeah, with their teeth. That's how people
What the
produce
F?
them.
Holy crap, dude.
Yeah,
Seems very labor intensive.
labor intensive, but also it's good in some ways. I mean, it's got a lot of you have a lot of nerves in the mouth. You have a lot of control, very fine control, precision, biting with the
Hmm.
teeth. Uh, you can't see it. That's a con. You can't see in your mouth. Very difficult to do that without a mirror. Which pretty sure if they're chewing cat gut to make a bow, they don't have mirrors. I think silvering came out in the that's medieval era, like making mirrors and getting silver pure enough that you could pour it on sand and make glass. Who knows?
What an era. What an era.
Yeah, yeah, the era of
Cat
the
gut.
Crusades, right? Remember those evil, bad, naughty, terrible, horrible, no good, dirty Christians who went into those poor Muslim people's country and just started killing everyone for no reason. You remember that?
That's what I heard. But I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I don't know. That's what I've been
Yeah,
told.
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
but I've been told.
Medieval Christians were mighty bold. Yeah. I think that's why there were a
People
lot
have.
of them because they weren't unified. They weren't together. They were like infighting and being harassed continually for hundreds of years, for centuries, being invaded, having their sovereign lands invaded, their ancestral lands invaded. And they fought back and took back their cities. Not all of them, obviously. Turkey, kind of a problem. That didn't work out too well, but managed to keep Europe. Nice. Although things are not looking good for Europe.
You said that
Speaking
with
of
a smile.
immigration, yeah. Well,
And what
I just
specifically?
immigration mandates. I
Quality of
mean,
life,
Tavistock is there,
crime.
so crime, knife crime, yes. Well, they don't have guns, so it's not a big deal. I think I would much rather. There are people have told me this, like if there is less crime, see, like there's less gun crime, having less guns, you see it works. I'm like, well, have you looked at knife crime? Have you
Yeah, it's
taken a
like
peek? How can you know
We
how
gotta
many
go
crimes
somewhere.
have been prevented? How would you know? What do you have to compare it to?
Yeah.
Well, you compare it to another country. That's not a comparison. That's not a single isolated variable that you can get a scientific conclusion from. It's
That's true.
rhetoric. Most people they talk about science and statistics and math, and those are just words because they're rhetoric. They're
It's
words
just their
to
talking
convince.
points.
Yes, yes, and they're not even accurate talking points. They're false.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know if Eugene is still thinking of going uh, back to the homeland of Europe.
Surprised he
Uh,
still hasn't visited his parents.
or that they haven't visited him.
Yeah. He probably has more means to do it than they, though, I think. I'm sure
Yes.
they're both capable, but who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, it's been probably a decade for Eugene, right?
I
And
think
now that he
so.
has a kid, I mean, maybe maybe he'll go and bring the kid,
Yes,
bring the
that's
Air
harder.
Yeti,
That's harder to do, though. I
the
think
little Yeti.
the tiny yeti. Yeah, yeah. She probably will be. Although it would be hilarious if she is like hated all that stuff and was like ultra girly, you know. I was like, oh no, gross. Like I don't like fishing. I would never go camping. Like I only go glamping. Like there's bugs everywhere. It would be
That's
hilarious if she was like
dude.
that.
Then we'll just sit back and watch the show, and
Yes.
then we'll write a sitcom. We'll call it
uh,
something.
well, isn't that something? Yes. Huh.
Eugene has many quotes for us to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
There's something he said recently that I was like, dude, that should be the name of your autobiography.
Sunshine on a cloudly day.
It'll come to me, but yeah, he's very quotable. I'm
Yes,
curious to hear what his stand-up would sound like. That would be hilarious.
he'd be like just him coming out there. People would. He has kind of like a funny, like his his look. I don't mean he's funny looking, but I mean is that like he has a mirthful kind of appearance. You know, he looks.
He's a
He,
ginger gnome. Yeah, he's
yeah,
like a ginger gnome. He's
dude,
ginger
that
gnomely.
that no, the gnome
Like
costumes that they're shouting.
Gnome Chomsky and Gnome Lavinda.
Yeah. Yes. Gnome Chomsky. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
another genius. He was for the mandates as well.
what a
And he's
turd.
like, yeah, yeah, you know, people shouldn't if they risk, you know, the health insurance for them, well, that's their problem. They should be rejected. People should be rejected for health insurance if they didn't take an
Wow.
experiment. That's what he
He's
suggested.
he's
That's what that
held in
piece of
such high
shit.
regard, dude. How is
Yeah.
that possible that like I mean now it's coming out that like he had some ties with Epstein and whatnot, but he
Sure.
seems to be
Convenient.
very esteemed figure in
Hmm.
American culture. And
Yes.
was that as a journalist, as a
As a
what was
leftist
his role?
intellectual, he's a
Okay,
linguist. He's a
like
linguist
Hitchens?
primarily. Uh, no, I think I would say probably more like Dawkins, right?
Well,
Like
you're right.
Dawkins is a
Okay,
biologist,
yes,
and
a
because
man of science.
yes, yes, he is but he's uh, a
Almost like an
linguist, so it's more
apologist.
like etymology and you know
Mm-hmm.
that and communication and like histories of words and
Yes.
meanings and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I remember seeing him speak. I think it was like 16. He came to a local college, And I remember there being a lot of words I'd never heard before that I knew were like that are news words. I remember seeing them on news type shows and like, okay, this guy sounds smart. Like I don't know what he's
Yeah.
talking about. I can't see really what he means, but I remember him being critical of the government, critical of institutions of power in that conversation. Not conversation. It was a lecture. He gave a lecture. I don't remember what it was on. It was like a lot of words, man. So many words. The guy used so many fucking words. But
And the way he talks is like,
uh, yeah, it was very boring. The talk
uh,
was super boring. But hey, you know, this is what passes for the left these days. The anti-establishment left is 100% establishment. The corporate money loving Republicans are now the pickup truck driving hillbillies that used to be the Democrats. So everything is completely backwards. The ones who are against the corporate. I mean, not it's a uniparty, right? So they're all for the corporations because the corporations the ones who pay their salaries, not the people. They like the it's
it switched before though. I mean, in the days of
yes.
Lincoln,
Yeah, he was
Republicans
the
and
he was the first one.
Democrats. Yeah. We got the keyboard cued.
Is it? You can hear it.
Yeah, I can barely hear it. Yeah, I can hear it.
Aha. I forgot how to turn it. Are you playing guitar recently or just working a lot?
Uh, I have been working a lot, but when I do play guitar, it's mainly focused on the strokes material. We are having another practice on this upcoming Sunday and trying to get back to things. When Thanks for coming out to Bugtown. That was a unique experience, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes. But
I'm glad you guys were there. It was a bit oil and water socially at first. Oh, snap. Oh, Matt is gonna dig that. I'm glad you.
yes.
There's something you could do with that.
Well,
There's
yeah,
something you
the
can.
re-veneer. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, it could also put a once it figures out the focus. There you go. It could also put a speaker in it. I mean, it's got little
yeah,
ports
dude.
for a woof. You could put a
You're right, dude.
15-inch in there. I mean, at least a 12. There, you could fit a 12 in there, and
We
it
have
would be
speakers for it,
super
man.
cool. It could also
And it has
it could
space
be
for
the
like a.
opportunity for transducer. That could be the project for
Hmm,
that. Uh, but it's the slanted cabinet is very nice. It's basically it's an amp cab. It could be used. It
pretty
could be
much,
used.
pretty much. I'm glad you have a souvenir to take away from the experience.
Yes. Yeah. Also, I listened back to uh, part of part of it that I had recorded, part of the campfire jam.
Oh,
That is not
you
it.
should send that over sometime. I'd like to hear it from your perspective.
Yeah, there's part of it where the bongos are super loud because the phone was near the bongos, and I'm like, oh god, man, this bongo solo is a lot, But it was me playing the bongos. I was like, wait, it's way too much. But there were part of it where the phone was like a little more towards the center. There's part with you were playing some samba. I think you were playing some Brazilian stuff.
Awesome.
some bossa nova. Yeah, some bossa nova, and and I
The
was
fact that it was kind of
whistling for
raining was
some
nice.
reason. It was kind of raining, like the fire was crackling, and then it
Yeah,
was like something possessed me to whistle, and I heard
yeah.
it. I heard it in a track. I was like, man, that's some good whistling. Like I didn't imagine I could. Man, I
Really?
whistled the shit out of that. Like it's actually it sounds so like the organic sound of a solo instrument like would be too much. It was very light. It was very just like this sort of
Hmm.
ethereal, like a bird singing along to a tune. Like that's what the whistles are. Like, very laid back, very breezy on those
What method
chords.
did you use to whistle? Was it like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I do in
In
and
and out?
out as well, both with that method.
It's like up pick, down pick, almost like
Yeah, 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 totally. And that's how
can
you
be.
can keep long phrases going. But there's something about like whistling along with something that's
Yeah.
very pleasurable,
You know what? If there's
right?
something about being able to produce those frequencies just like as a human instrument, right? Because there's
Because they're so high. They're
those
so high.
high frequencies we can't really sing,
Yeah,
but we
that's
can reach
impossible.
them with the whistling and the harmonics.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the value of being able to whistle, being able to reach those notes that we wouldn't be able to otherwise. Hmm.
Yes, and then
I'm glad you discovered that. I'd love to hear your recording or you whistling to that or whatever you send over,
let's
whatever you
see.
got loaded up. But no rush.
Yes,
Yeah, that
Abe's
was a good
kid.
time. Abe's little mini house was impressive. I really enjoyed the size, the look. He did a good job.
Yes,
Would you
it
agree?
had like an odd like the composting toilet thing. That's what I was interested in.
Uh-huh.
Because there's a scent. That's the only part that I didn't like. It's like I know the smell of compost,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
that's sort of that smell. Kind of like
I see.
lingers in the air a little bit. That's the only
Uh-huh.
thing I don't like about that.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, you asked. That guy's speaker guitar was pretty rad. That
Yeah,
carbon fiber speaker guitar was pretty good.
yeah. This is a good solo of him. Very nice drums.
Very sensible. Yeah, he had like a good
Oh wait,
feel.
there we go.
There's a lot of people talking. Just like
I love
it
that
was like oil and
atmosphere.
water with Abe's friends. It was just like they were just like we're gonna be over here, away from the fire. Or actually, the fire was a totally different spot.
Yes, it
But
was kind of a funny arrangement.
but even just like hearing people talking, just like the music in the background, there's something, even if it's completely inaudible, just like the sound of somebody talking, right? And then like, there's music. It's like white noise. It could be therapeutic. Yeah,
Yes,
I like
yeah.
listening
That's
back to some of that, just for that sake.
yeah.
It's just
Ambiance,
like the vibe,
atmosphere.
the environment. Yeah. You're whistling "Girl from Ipanema."
Yes, yeah. For somehow, like
No, that's
that's
close.
just what
Yeah.
it sounded like. Like, hey, I could fit there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it was such good times.
Awesome.
Uh, but yes,
So
I've
Abe
also
is going to be
been.
playing at the Elk Temple, which is I've always been curious about that building, man, and I come to find out that they have a venue there and they do shows, and that Queen Mother's going to be there on the 12th, I think. That's when I'm gonna go see them. You're welcome to join, man. It's gonna be a good time.
Yes,
Come to
it's.
the Elk Temple. We can hang
I've
out in
only been
Tacoma
to
afterwards.
Tacoma once, I believe. No, twice. No,
We'll make it fun, man. We'll go to a brewery or two, check out play play billiards. We'll make an evening out of it. We can
billiards.
go to a
Yes,
hookah
hockey
bar if
puck.
you want, if there are any that exist. I wonder
I
if that's still
mean,
a thing.
sure, it's still a thing. There's one on Roosevelt and like just north of 45th. I think that's I think it's still open. And there was also one
Dude,
on
we
85th
should take the
and
guys.
go to a hookah
That'd be
bar.
hilarious.
I
Yeah.
haven't been to a hookah bar since I lived in St. Louis. It was probably oh shit. I want to
Imagine
say
that nicotine kick. I'm just kidding.
oh yes. Oh, that's what
But just even
what
the
I remember
flavor,
from
there's
that.
something very like pleasant about the rose kind of.
Yes, the rose water. Yeah, there's different flavors of them, like
Mm,
must, like a musky kind of uh, sweet fruit type things. Apple was in there,
sure, yeah,
like cherry type stuff. Yeah,
pretty
drinking
amazing.
at the time, I still drank, and I remember feeling very sick from the amount of
Yeah.
tobacco
Oh yeah.
and alcohol. Like that was the first time. Like man, I can normally
Sounds
drink a
rough.
lot, and this I wrecked, absolutely wrecked. Like I can't handle this. So that's why I was like, okay,
I get it.
I smoked too much of that. Cigarettes, and I
Eh,
learned that later as well. Just smoking regular cigarettes and drinking at the same time, you
Yeah.
get drunk very quickly,
It speeds up
and
your metabolism, I'm guessing,
like
right?
dizzy as
Right.
well. Oh,
Yeah,
also
yeah.
it constricts the blood vessels, right? So you stand up, you go outside. You know, you're in a hot bar, and you go outside in the cold, and you stand like you smoke a cigarette, and you get lightheaded immediately. It's like whoo, whoo, whoo.
It's true.
Yeah. So that could be nice. It could also be horrible.
Yeah,
Uh,
it really depends what's in your system.
oh yeah, that
The
would be
dose,
fun.
right?
A night out on Tacoma.
Yeah. If anybody, if if one if the guys decide to join, we can go grab some pizza afterwards, or just go hang out in Tacoma for a bit. There's some spots, but that building in particular, that building was closed for over like a decade or two. It was being remodeled, but I think it's one of those old world buildings. It's one of those buildings that was it used to be a brothel. We should look up the history of the Elk Temple, McMinnican's Elk Temple, and figure out
McMenamins. Oh yeah, because
McMinimans.
McMenamins they
Yeah.
bought a bunch of stuff all up and down here. There's one in Portland. I've stayed at the McMenamins Hotel
So,
in
so it's a
Portland,
hotel. Okay.
and it's a hotel and restaurant because they do it's like hospitality type stuff. It's event spaces, so they do uh,
Yeah.
hotels. You could do weddings there,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Interesting.
all that kind of stuff. A restaurant, average, but
Mm-hmm. I've never been.
yes,
I have been inside actually. I've gotten food there before, and it was just delicious. And there's a speakeasy there that I remember going to briefly.
is it an
It's
Eagles? It's a fraternal order of Eagles or Elks?
Elks,
Because
Elk Temple.
there's a huge elk on the front.
Yeah, yeah. There's. I like what they did with the horns. That I think that was an awesome
yes, that's quite a.
move. Quite a piece.
Hmm. The yeah, let's find out a little bit. Oh, benevolent and protective order of elks. That's what it is. founded in 1868 by Charles Vivian, apparently, in Chicago.
Okay.
Let's see. Famous elks, according to Wikipedia.
Hmm.
Babe Ruth, uh, Warren G.
What does that
Harding,
mean? Famous
Babe
elks.
Ruth. Yeah, these are people who were members that are famous people. So
Members of,
of the fraternal order, sorry, not fraternal, the benevolent and protective order of Elks, which is this organization. It's a group. It's like a club for men. Uh,
interesting.
so Warren G. Harding, Franklin Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Ford were all Elks.
Hmm.
Governors, let's see. David Schultz, governor, a couple of governors of Florida, Virginia.
Interesting. So it's an order.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
beautiful
right.
building, and I heard at some point it was a brothel, and I also heard that it was haunted, or it had some sort of some some fuckery happen in its history. We should look up if there are any stabbings in there. But yes, Abe is going to play a show there. We should go and check it out and check out the vibes.
Yeah, it looks charity, justice, brotherly love, fidelity. That's on the seal. Uh,
Order of the
yeah, it seems
Elks.
like a cool place.
Mm-hmm. I was there very, very briefly.
The secret password was gone in 1899. The apron was discontinued in 1895. The badges and secret handshake were abandoned by 1904. Hmm.
No.
It's a Freemason
Is it?
offshoot. Yes.
Okay. That
They
makes sense.
originally borrowed a number of rites, traditions, and regalia from the Freemasons.
Borrowed.
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
Like that I
You
use
don't
that word.
borrow traditions, you uphold them. However, by the first decade of the 20th century, much of this had been abandoned as they sought to establish their own identity. Ah, right. This is interesting. Deceased and otherwise absent lodge members are recalled each evening at 11 p.m. Chimes or sometimes a bell will be rung 11 times, and the lodge esquire intones, "It is the hour of recollection." The exalted ruler, or a member designated by him, gives the 11 o'clock toast, of which this version is the most common. Now, here's this quote from elks.org. You have heard the tolling of 11 strokes. This is to impress upon you that with us the hour of 11 has a tender significance. Wherever elks may roam, whatever their lot in life may be, when this hour falls upon the dial of night, the great heart of elkdom swells and throbs. It is the golden hour of recollection, the homecoming of those who wander, the mystic roll call of those who will come no more. Living or dead, elks are never forgotten, never forsaken. Morning and noon may pass them by, and light of day sink heedlessly in the west, but ere the shadows of midnight shall fall, the chimes of memory will be pealing forth the friendly message to our absent members.
Wow. That's quite the honor
Yeah,
to
it's quite a toast.
such membership, such an intense membership. I wonder the what it takes to be a member, you know. So remember Kevin, the massage therapist, big guy. He said he wanted to apply to a Masonic lodge in Nebraska where he's living. I was like, tell me about the process that you end up going through. And what what it's like. So hopefully he doesn't he doesn't what's it
Hopefully, isn't
called?
drawn into a satanic cult.
Or just signs away his soul. Yeah, yeah, that too.
I mean, I've
S-
heard some
s-
things about the Masons.
Yes, indeed.
Uh,
Some things have been said.
but I can't imagine they're all bad, right? Maybe they are. Maybe they're all evil.
It's a good question. Is it the ideology or is it the underneath the ideology, the
Intent?
principles?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe the people who join it, they could join for nefarious reasons, like they want to subvert it, or like, hey, these are
Well,
people who build stuff. It's an ancient guild, right?
and it's hidden.
Oh,
No women are allowed.
yeah, because they don't want it to get screwed up, because they know what happens as soon as women get involved. It's one or the other. It's either we can have this thing, or
Why we can't have nice things?
yes, like, look, do you want to have a temple or not? Like, do you want to have this lodge? Because if we invite the
Elk
ladies, it's
Lodge.
no longer the Masonic Lodge. Then it's just it's something else entirely. It's a
No,
different ball game. Like, and
gonna
then
change the
the guys
couches.
start competing over the women, and they start doing this, and like, no, 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 no. No, you
I
have
can see
to
why they have the
simplify.
rule. You know,
Yeah, yeah. There's something about that. It also, with the need to imitate, right? So if your ideals are aligned, uh, by sex, because they are like the same things that you value, the strength that men value is the same. The strength that women value is different. The
hmm.
beauty that men value is different from the beauty that women value. Like, you can't have conflicting ideals and expect to embody any of them correctly. Like, there's
Well said.
there's one actual ideal for men, right? And there's one ideal for women. Like, it's better. Is it better to be more uh, like fun loving and going from person to person and making sure everyone's happy? It's great if a woman does it. It's really weird if a guy does it. Like, it's different. It's a different thing. To be like stoic and sit quietly and listen. That's who do you think of? I didn't say a gender, but you thought of a man when I said that. You didn't think of a woman doing that because it would be weird. A woman sitting alone quietly, like, what's wrong? Are you okay? Did you get a terrible phone call? Like,
The red
are you
flag.
really going through some stuff right now? It's totally a red flag. But if you see a man sitting alone, you think that guy's pretty cool. He's probably all right. Like, or hey, I'm
Probably
glad
planning
he's
something.
sitting there, right? Or he's planning something, or he's like there's a bunch of stuff going on, everyone's upset, and he's not. You're like, excellent. If a bunch of girls are upset and one isn't, you're like, what did she do? What did she do? Why are they all pissed? It's
Yeah.
and she isn't. It's something she
Such different
did.
dynamics, right?
Right, right. So maybe that's what we talked about earlier about, like, putting having representation. Some sort of example to follow, some ideal. It's not Jordan Peterson. It's not Joe Biden. You know, it's not any. It's not any of those people. And I think that's hard for everybody is realizing, oh, it's not our parents, it's it's not scientists, it's not anything like that. There isn't a standard that you can look to in humanity. The standard is transcendent. It doesn't exist in humanity. So it's like the thing that everyone wants to copy and everyone should copy and emulate doesn't actually exist in any of us. So it's incredibly difficult.
It's like a meta blueprint.
Yeah.
You might have
Yeah.
heard about it.
Yes. Yes. You might be familiar. Do you have time to hear the good news?
Hmm. I wanted to ask your pull-up bar.
Ah,
What
yes.
was the company that makes it? And are you said you're happy with it? Yes.
Yes. Let me look in my receipts.
I joined the Tacoma climbing gym, and I've been going there whenever I can. It's a lot of fun.
That's
I'm like sore in weird places from climbing. I'm like, why is like
dude, I'm sore from sitting. I understand. I I gotta hand it to you. That's incredible. I'm glad you're I'm glad you're doing it. It was hard enough for me to buy the pull-up bar, let
mm,
alone go to a climbing gym, which it's like
yeah,
I can't. It's not even an option for me. But I would love it. Just now, I know I'd get hurt.
I get it, yeah. When did issues started taking place with the shoulder?
With my shoulder, that was man. That's 2006. I want to say.
6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although I've intermittently I've dislocated my shoulders many times. I used to, uh,
Both?
yes, I used to pop them out like deliberately. Especially the left was actually easier than the right. I just like throw it in and bring it there. And I was younger. I was much younger. Obviously, I was in my probably 13, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
No,
It's like a
yeah,
superpower you had.
between like 10 and 13. Yeah, it was very it was very rubbery. I mean, I had taken taekwondo at that time as well. So, but yeah, I think by 16 or so, it stopped doing that. I think because of
Mm-hmm.
skeletal development, the length of things is sufficient. Uh, I don't know why I can't find this pull-up bar. Wait a minute, because I thought it was Japanese for some reason.
Yeah, but this monthly challenge, it's just one of those things where it's just like you just have to get used to your body being sore all of the time. That's like
Yes,
the norm.
yeah, yes, totally. It's been interesting
That
getting
can be
back to that. Legs were sore, like That's the thing. I was like, man, I'm really glad that you suggested the squats and stuff because I've been doing lunges and also like putting my
hmm
back foot up on like the couch to get deeper in, like really getting the full stretch, full extension of the quadriceps.
Yeah.
And man, it's been a struggle trying to do them well with good balance. Very humbling. Very, very humbling, man.
Balance.
Uh, yes.
Propelled.
Doing
Propelled. Tumbling.
like leg lifts on the bar. It feels
Uh-huh.
great though. Now I'm able to like hang there for a while. Like
Oh, that's
be
good.
and different muscles are sore in your arms from hanging than from just like lifting or moving stuff. Have you noticed that as well? Like they're on the outside
Oh yeah.
of the forearm, the top.
E Even hanging on the bar itself, like it seems like it would be easy, right? But try hanging for 2 minutes. Like that would be tough for me to do. I mean, like it would be painful. By the end of it, it'd just be like, ow.
Yes.
It's doable, but like
Yeah.
impressively, it's a little bit more difficult than you'd think. I bet if
Yeah.
you pulled up the average person and just tested how long they could hang on a bar, it'd probably be roughly around 30 seconds. I mean,
Hmm.
longer for men, of course, than women.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Upper
I think.
body strength
Yeah, I
difference.
feel like that's something. I'll now that that's in my head, I'll set a timer and see how long I can last hanging on the bar. Yeah, it'd be interesting because that is also the way. Like, what's
Mm,
the technique for doing it? Like, you let full extension. You start at full extension, and then like pull up a little bit as you go, or do you start off like slightly bent and allow yourself to stretch down as you go and like end up release? Like, are you low shoulders, or do you let your shoulders raise up? Like, there are all these
hmm.
tiny
Yeah,
movements.
I just relax into it and just use only the muscles that need need to be engaged. And then as time goes, kind of alternate to get more longevity.
Hmm.
But that would be that'd be a fun thing to do with the guys. Just we have
Hang.
some place to hang. We can hang somebody.
Yes. Oh, here it is. I see why. Because it's separated only in the last 3 months, and I ordered it longer than 3 months ago. It is currently unavailable. It's called Steady Japan Pull Up Bar.
Steady, steady
But
like
they're
hot surgeon.
steady like heart surgeon. There are a bunch like this though that are similar, uh,
Gotcha.
with the similar form factor that it rotates one direction and that expands it, right? So you keep in your mind that it like this is the way that makes it go. So if you lift up and then keep if you move on and keep turning it, you're gonna fall. So, but it's got these like silicon things on the side that really grip in, and they don't mess with the door jamb too much. So
Nice.
it's a good grip. It's a good grip. Feels solid. And you're not supposed to be swinging anyway, so it's not like you're gonna really test it. Yeah.
Thanks
I'm
for the
not sure
suggestion. I'm gonna get one.
I would use my feet on it. Like, I'm not sure I would foot hang, but that's just because I don't want to break my neck.
Who
I'm
does?
sure I could do it though.
Who does?
No, nobody, nobody, nobody with
You know,
any
with all this
sense.
with all this talk of masculine and feminine and genders, there's this book that um, it's called The Science of the Soul, and it talks about. It's also by Swinburne Clymer. Swinburne Clymer. All right,
Aha.
so here dives into the positive or the feminine and the positive. Okay,
It's the life in quotes section. All right.
this is from The Science of the Soul by Swinburne Clymer. Even the Father, contrary to all that has been erroneously taught, is not both masculine and feminine. He is the masculine, the earth is the feminine. It is the positive force of God potent, 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 potentizing the mother that produces creation. For is it not written that until the waters were separated from the earth, and the sun shone thereon, creation of living creatures did not take place? The divine mystery therefore is herein: mind and soul in relation to each other are positive and negative forces, the producer electric, the receiving magnetic, but in relation to the universal mind or creator, human mind, and the soul attracts the feminine love and sympathy principle. When the masculine begins to build the feminine, the positive mind becomes negative, and the soul thereby is unsexed and inertized. We often meet with such creatures. We term them in contempt and derision Henry Pecks. What? Why should we not have an equally applicable term for the inverted and perverted female? Interesting that
Oh,
they even brought
henpecked,
that up.
like a man who's been henpecked.
The soul is magnetically poised and draws itself all that is it attuned to.
Mm.
Yeah, if the soul is masculine and then draws to itself constructive and creative forces, if it is feminine, then it is receptive and productive. Remember always the masculine is electrical, the producer, while the feminine is the magnetic, the receptive, and the reproductive. The soul cannot become electrical because it is not always to draw to itself and receive the thoughts, desires, and longings of the mind. What the soul is, the body reflects. Therefore, if the soul could be both male and female, it would reflect this state through the body. The body would necessarily be both. This is impossible. There you go.
Big if.
Consequently, the dual forces would continually at war within the body, a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde existence until death would kindly step in to end the fray. All teachings which inculcate the development of both principles in one body are radically wrong and wholly destructive. They are dangerous not only to the individual who is foolish enough to accept them, but also to the entire race, and totally contrary to the divine law under which man was created. Man, masculine, woman, feminine, each has a noble sphere of action in the divine plan. To defy the law is to court destruction. Very pressing for
Mm.
these times, this word.
Thank you for that. So now, what is his name? Not Algernon Charles Swinburne. Not
Um, Reuben Swinburne Climber. R.
Reuben Swinburne Clymer.
Swinburne Climber. Pretty sure he was some sort of
Yes,
Mason as well,
Mason. Yes, I was like,
like a 33 degree. But the fact that he talks about the masculine and feminine, and
yeah.
just even that, talks about don't be deceived. He's like, you can't be both. It's funny. I didn't like choose to read that. That came
No,
up
it
very.
totally. It just. But look, like that's because it's a tradition of keeping knowledge. That it's good to keep knowledge because it is a gift, and and that you can know anything at all is evidence of God. Right.
Mm,
So
memory.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
If you can behold the truth and you can retain the truth and you can repeat the truth, that that must mean that you're in some way fractionally,
Mm,
fragmentarily reflecting or refracting the origin of the universe, right? Like
yeah. And,
some,
and truth is that which does not change.
yes, and comports with reality. Like
Yes.
there
It's
is a thing,
harmonious.
they go together. It's not like, well, you can kind of look at it this way and it could sort of mean that. And I feel like a woman today, so I am. That's not how the truth operates. It's the sun is always the sun. Well, what if the sun explodes? Well, then it's the nebula of the sun. And it's always like not
Changes
just a
everything.
nebula. It's like
It
it's
changes
very
everything.
it's a
Yeah.
totally different scenario. But what about the thing that does not change? Well, everything changes. Okay, so now you understand that everything change. That's how special it must be that there's a category where things don't change. Because if change is a thing, then not
Yeah.
change must be a thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's so simple, and yet it's so brilliant, and it's so obvious, and yet it's so
And yet,
impossible to grasp.
yes.
Like it's like
And yet it's
water.
completely ignored.
Yes.
Right, right. It's like this big, massive kind of this cosmic giggle that everybody's taking really seriously.
Yes. Yeah. Take it so
Uh,
seriously.
I've been re-listening to Alan Watts' "You're You're It, You're It." I think is the
Yes.
very good
Yeah, that's it.
audio book. But Alan Watts was a really fascinating orator in the way that he brought across metaphysical concepts and just to the Western mind. I thought
Mm-hmm.
was really powerful. And
Yes.
him having studied Zen for as long as he did makes me think that there's some connection there to just
Mm.
to sit in silence and try to either not have anything in your mind or you are contemplating either like koans or like you're
Mm.
contemplating just reality. The fact that he was a heavy drinker is interesting to consider. And
Sure.
I've heard that he even would give lectures completely drunk. Who knows? Uh, that's
I
whatever
wouldn't
it
doubt
takes,
it.
Alan. Huh?
I wouldn't doubt that he was uh
Yeah.
verschnicket or toasted at any of those. I mean, he
He
had
was just
fun.
upping the challenge level. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna bump up to to level 11. I'm gonna make it harder.
Yes. Well, he studied, I'm sure. Like
Uh,
he's a scholarly sort of fellow, a reader,
yeah.
definitely a lecturer, somebody who is proud of their ability to recite, to
Yes. Hmm.
spin a tale, to be charismatic, to know pauses,
Very
to know
thorough.
vocabulary. Very thorough. Yes. Yes, and it's kind of an onslaught of speech. It's a continual rolling river
Yes.
of
Hmm.
rhetoric, if I might alliterate.
And it's concise and very coherent. That's the thing.
Yes, and
It
deeply
leads somewhere.
meaningful, and you can keep coming back to it over and over again. It's like that's also another masculine tradition of like the storyteller, the one who keeps the. It's like, hey, remember this? Remember
It's a
all this?
linear
This is
kind of a thing, linear notion,
yes,
like this
yes,
continuation.
but and I think it appeals. I mean, Ellen Watts also appeals to women. I think, um, not that they're not people. Women are people too. I know, but
Do you
there's like
think he
a
does?
relationship of things, the way that things relate to one another
Sure.
versus this happened because this happened because this happened. This is why, like causal chains and sort of linear explanations, like you talked about, is male thinking, very focused. It could be tunnel vision or it could be seeing something through to its completion. And with it's like direction, and there's a lot of
Yes.
change.
Task.
Yes, task oriented iteration, and then female thinking, or what is called feminine thinking, is more like, how do these items here relate now, and what are people feeling, and what
Mm-hmm.
is their,
Context,
yes, and context, and all of
safety, and
that, and how does this relate to you, uh, how does this make you feel good in some way, like what does this provide to you, as opposed to, look at this thing because it is magnificent. That's like, that's a masculine way of doing it. It's like, here, look at this thing because I want you to be happy, or because I want you to like me, or something like that. Because listen to this because, well, we're friends. Like, the reason why you would share something might be totally different. At
mm-hmm.
least this is my experience. It could be different for different people. There are many
Many paths.
instantiations of the category, but
Mm-hmm.
that proves the rule rather than destroy it.
Great. Many paths, many paths, and it's another great book by Ram Dass, Paths to God.
Paths to God.
I think Ram Dass and Alan Watts are almost of a similar vein
Hmm.
in their mystic nature. Also, I mean, both Americans. So, well,
Well, there
no,
is an American philosophy which is like a hodgepodge in a way, a collection. I mean, it's also a tradition in a sense, but it's a kind of unmoored tradition somehow. It's a tradition that seeks to surpass and transcend its tradition.
meta.
It's a very odd sort of thing to be a part of. Like, here's your tradition. What's your tradition? Overcoming your tradition. Okay. Like, how do you
Yeah,
maintain your tradition? By
or your
overcoming it. We
nature.
have to maintain it. Yes, overcome your nature. Stop being, you know,
Transcend oneself.
stupid human.
We have quite the
Uh,
task.
yeah. What
You're
task
it.
is that?
You're it. That's the title
You're
of his
it.
book.
Yes. Which, I don't
Good.
know. There's something kind of funny about that. Ah,
Something funny
Jesus and the
about
magic mushrooms.
being the funny about what specifically? Being having a center
You are
point or
it.
a focus point.
Saying like you're it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like your consciousness or your
In a way it is in itself a Zen koan. Or you can call it a Zen koan, I guess, because you
yeah,
can read it many, many different ways and just think
yes,
about it and what does that mean? And which of those ways is the truth? If it tells you many ways, is one of them the right way? Or are they all the right way? It's just you, meaning there's nothing else but you. So solipsism, or it's you, like everything is you, so you are yourself. So why hurt anyone else? So like there are implications of this thing that you can think about, second order effects of the statement. It's very intriguing. You could also be like you're uh, that thy will be the whole, thy will be done. That is the whole of the law.
hmm
It could also
yeah,
be like
that's
do whatever you want, in a sense, like nothing else matters. It's just you here, baby. You do everything just make it how you want it to be. If you imagine the world being like this, then you just make it that way. If that's how you want to see the world covered in
Be the
rainbow
change you want
flags,
to see in the world.
do it. Yeah. If you want to be a world where everyone is plugged into a machine, if you want to live in a world where you have everything you want, like even even your good desires that are manifested for the whole world can be absolutely ruinous for the rest of the world. Like, no, I just want to like enjoy time on a beach and, like not have to do that. And it'd be cool if everyone could do that. And this is the problem with wishes in in storytelling anyway. The problem of the genie, the trope of the genie, like, oh, you can have whatever you want. Well, whenever you get what you want, it's never what you thought of, or never what you expected. The thing that you thought, oh, there'd be no way they could get this wrong, like in Ghostbusters, which it's always Ghostbusters. Uh,
There's a
when the
law.
Stay Puft
Forgot what
Marshmallow
its
Man
name.
comes around, you know who I'm talking about? The
No.
end of Ghostbusters. Okay, so Gozar the Destructor uh, is another dimension, an extra dimensional being that's going to destroy the city, and the Ghostbusters are there to stop it, and they talk to it, and it's like it's telepathic, right? So it can read their minds, and it asks them what form, like I am Gozar the Destructor, Gozar the Gozerian, like I have many names and all of these sorts of things. It's basically it sounds like this massively powerful like Prince of Demons destroyer, and it says, "What choose the form I shall take to destroy your world," right? And they're like, "No, keep your minds blank. Don't think anything. Don't think anything. Like think nothing." And then you have chosen. It's like, what? Nobody chose. Our minds were blank. Remember, fucking blank. Think nothing. He's like, what did you do, Ray? Ray? And he goes, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Like it's this. It looks like it's a mascot for marshmallow brand, Stay Puff, right? Like, so this is the brilliance of the meta analysis of that scene is you think this corporate cuddly figure, this brand which is supposed to be cute and fun and like kids, a big happy-go-lucky, marshmallow. What could be threatening about that? It's childhood, and it comes in like 60 stories tall, huge, like this massive monster, right? So the the marketing which has tricked the American will be used against it to destroy it, right? So that like there's so many levels
This
in this
monster
movie.
that you speak of, this marshmallow monster, this is the metaphor of AI. I
Could
mean,
be, could be.
honestly, because people are, eh, nobody's quite sure what they're bringing into the world by developing AI and working on it. They just know it's really powerful. So it's
Yes.
so it's just like there's this looming unknown, and even though there's this awareness of the potential danger, people are like, yeah, but we can just get a little bit closer to the edge, a little bit closer to the cliff. I
I got to
mean,
pay off my student loans for at MIT for learning nuclear physics, so I
gotta
gotta
automate.
help them build this nuclear bomb, with the Manhattan Project. So it's not my fault if they do something with it. I mean I told them not to. I was doing it so that we could have energy. I wasn't doing it so that they could have a weapon. It was
There you
very.
go.
I mean,
The
it's
ego
not
can
my fault.
rationalize anything, anything. It's the master rationalizer,
Yes,
you know.
the mind will make everything okay. Like, oh yeah, no, actually, it's just there's something about that that's so infuriating to
There's
me.
like
That
12 uh, defense mechanisms of the ego, and that's one of the only things that was left from Freud. I think it was the 11 or 12 defense mechanisms of the ego, and he lists that's what exists still in modern psychology from Freud. That's like his contribution to it. That and like some psychoanalytical stuff. But
Tell me
those
about
things are
this. I
still
don't know
true.
about the
Oh,
12
sure.
defense mechanisms of the ego. This is
You,
like,
yeah, let's go into it. It's
man,
still taught in
you
college
teach me
classes.
so
And
many things.
so you'll, all right, so I'll read them to you.
Okay.
As crazy as Freud was, he did get some things right.
Yes. That women are hysterical if they haven't had an orgasm.
That's
That
probably
was
true.
one. That was one of his. Well,
Yeah,
like there wasn't there a machine, which is basically that was a vibrator. So like they medically prescribed
what psychopaths?
molesting women with a machine, and now people are like, "Yeah, I'm empowered," and they have like sex toy parties. Young women will get together and it like there's only so far I can go with that. But that's not a thing I could see men doing. Men wouldn't have like fleshlight parties. I'm pretty sure that would not happen. Oh, correction, correction. There are probably gay men who have sex toy parties.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that's a straight man thing to do.
And there's entire islands where they have parties.
Oh yeah, would they
With,
pass around the fleshlight? Yes, yes, indeed, indeed. Well, they're gonna get what they deserve. Uh, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
all right, so there's 12, not 11. The first one is
Oh.
compensation. All right, so that occurs when we do not like an aspect of ourself or our behavior and we perceive it as a negative. In turn, we develop aspects and behaviors that we do in fact like about ourselves to compensate for the previously disliked concept. So I mean,
Yes.
there's examples of this, but okay, I'm just gonna
The
run through
ugly
them. So the
motherfucker
compensation,
with a good job.
denial, displacement. So displacement is a process in which we let out our feelings and frustration on a substitute target that is not the actual target of our emotions. Okay.
Ah,
Identification,
yes.
when we identify ourselves with an image that we see as ideal to our ego. Introjection, that's number 5. It's the process in which we accept standards to be true to avoid scrutiny. This can be looked at as an extreme form of conformity. Like, here's an example. In grade school, teachers consistently tell us to study hard and go to college because it's the right thing to do. We in turn listen because we believe that to be to be the correct and easiest path to successful future, as opposed to creating our own unique routes to success. Projection, we know about that. Reaction
Wait,
formation. What?
wait. Go back to that. That was introjection.
Yeah, introjection. It's an almost like an extreme form of conformity.
Ah, okay. So it's like
We
conforming to
conform
some
to
standard to
not
be
stand
accepted.
out. Yeah.
Oh, right, right. It's I support current thing.
Yes. To not stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hmm. Projection, that's when we attribute our negative self-concepts of our self onto others. Okay, reaction formation. That's a process when we mask negative emotions or self-concepts by doing the exact opposite of what concept or emotion exhibit. That's like, um, okay, a person who you absolutely despise, or person you absolutely despise approaches you, instead of conveying your true feelings of hate towards them, you are overly nice and show compassion towards them, being overtly kind to mask the unwanted feeling of hate you actually have for them. That's reaction formation.
Wait a minute.
Rationalization, yeah,
Reaction formation sounds a lot like uh, Christian charity,
a little bit.
right? Because those
Well,
feelings that you
the
have
inner
aren't the
difference would
true
be,
feelings. Those are the demonic ideas that of hate, right? Hate is the wrong thing that you should suppress, and the thing you should do is be kind and love. That's so interesting to me that the negative is actually the positive.
hmm
That's weird. Okay, go on, go on.
so rationalization, you know about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Regression
Regression.
is the act of retreating to infantile defenses. We do this because as a child, life is less threatening. Retreating back to these defenses may make the situation feel less threatening than it really is. Like regression, here's an example. Ignoring something, expecting it to go away.
Mm. Sometimes it does.
Or like just like spitting at somebody. That's probably also regression to childhood.
Yeah.
Regressing to
Yes.
there's repression, which is just,
Screaming and stomping your feet, like throwing a fit. Yeah,
get
these
this.
are.
Repression may be the most unknown yet interesting defense mechanism. Repression occurs unconsciously and sometimes unknowingly. It is when our mind has perceived something as too painful for our own being, thus pushing it out of our conscious awareness. Repression may be a choice, but keeping it in our unconscious is done entirely by our mind without our saying so. When things are repressed, we have absolutely no awareness of it. Okay? So,
Wait,
ritual
how
and
do.
undoing. Yeah.
Absolutely no awareness. So you can suppress something.
Yeah. And not be aware that you repressed it or
Oh,
suppressed it.
repress.
Yeah.
Repress. Okay.
Like maybe some aspect of you would, right? But that aspect probably wouldn't bring it up into your full consciousness,
Hmm.
like partial awareness. So ritual and undoing is the process of trying to undo type of unacceptable behavior by masking it with a positive behavior or ritual. Here's an example. When an absent father may attempt to make up for his absence by buying his children a lot of gifts occasionally. Okay?
Yeah, that one's real common.
Yeah, yeah, that's like, hey, I'm late, but I brought pizza.
That's how is that different from compensation?
Hmm,
Because those sound
you're right.
related. Maybe the
They're very,
compensation is like for of a trait. I see. So
yeah,
it's like a
I think you're
trait
right.
as opposed to an action.
Perhaps. Sublimation is the last one.
Hmm.
It's the only defense mechanism that is positive in all of its aspects. It's considered the healthiest. It's the process of taking negative self-concepts and diverting them into more socially acceptable concepts that are beneficial. How one might do. Okay. So someone who has experienced an extreme trauma may use their experience to help others instead of compensating for it. Oh, okay. I guess. A woman who was abused by her significant other may join help groups to help women in need instead of denying or repressing what happened to them. Okay, I see. Yeah, I guess that's healthy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like uh, what men what what the devil what men choose for evil, God uses for good. Is that
Yeah,
is that
that's inversion.
uh,
That's exactly it, dude. Like subversion, inversion. It's all a down is up, you know, up is down.
yes, that is
Evil isn't creative. It's a parasite. It just
yeah,
subverts and
it's
inverts. It
Genesis.
it has no creative potential. It just uses creation.
Yes. It subverts it, perverts,
Deceives.
inverts. Yes, deceives. Exactly.
It's a big one.
Exactly. Uh, and that's yeah, that's interesting too, because if you think about a like a narrative, a story, and that list was very enlightening. Uh, like a story has it tells something true, but it itself is not true. There is no true story, right? Because the story
Yes.
didn't happen. That's like it's like a joke. You can't tell a true joke, but you can tell the truth with a joke or through a joke, or you can
Mm-hmm.
reveal the truth or point to the truth with a story.
Yes.
So maybe that's the using for good what is intended for evil. Although you're telling somebody a story, it's not a lie, right? Like, because a lie is like you intend to deceive somebody into thinking that what you said is true when it's not. But telling a story is like telling somebody that if you believe this lie, you'll see the part that's true, kind of in a way. It's like telling you
Mm.
up front that so that's not a lie. You can't say, like, now I'm lying to you here, but I didn't sleep with your sister, right? Like, how do you interpret that statement? You would think, okay, he's not lying, right? Like,
Well, then
why would
it's
a person?
cognitive kind of dis dissonance begins to
Yes,
take
yes.
place.
So it's something funny when you would just say, no, I didn't sleep with your sister, and that's what it would be, unless you're a liar and they said, no, I didn't sleep with your sister, and you mean it. You mean, no, I don't want you to think that I did, that's the truth that they say. So, like, there's the
Mm.
thing underneath is the truth, and because the truth is the way they want to see the world turn out for the benefit of themselves, and that's like, well, I don't want this person to be mad at me, so I'm going to manifest my desired reality into the world by, I press the button, which is words come out, and they do what I want them to do, or they don't, right? Like, either the
Amber
thing
Heard,
happened that I want. Yeah, totally.
like her donating the money but not
Christine
donating the
Blasey
money.
Ford. Uh, the list goes on and on, of liars accusing
The world
people
is
of
made
doing.
of language, and and to circle back to Gnome Chomsky, he's 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 a very well respected and well noted linguist, and
Cunning,
for
some might
and
say.
to see a prominent linguist in our generation kind of begin to break down and fail almost
Mm.
as somebody who's not interpreting reality in the most, I don't know, most accurate way anymore, then those are like big red flags, at least for me. It's like
Yes.
this is an important person in society, and he's not reading reality in the way that I'm seeing it, you know, or in the way that it is.
It is, yes. Like, in the way that I'm seeing it, no, in the way that it is. Because I could see it wrong. You could see it wrong sometimes. You could be mistaken, but there is still a way that it is,
Hmm.
even if you see it incorrectly. It's not like everyone's opinion means the same thing. Uh, man, that's so true.
Thanks for
Hmm.
jumping on and for making time.
Yes.
Interesting talks today. We never know where we're gonna go, but
Yeah,
I'm
this
glad we brought up some of those. And also, what the hell's going on in Israel? It's still, this is like the 18th straight week that they're protesting. There's like 400,000 people out there, or at least in Tel Aviv. Or maybe that's what we're just being told. But yeah, check it out. Check it out what's going
Yeah,
on in
I'll have
Israel.
to look at that. But they're probably pissed. They probably
They're
heard the
pissed.
news. They heard the news. They got fucked, and they are,
Yeah.
boy, a bunch of angry Jews who got ripped off.
And the whole
Whoa.
COVID thing didn't help. I'm
Whoa.
sure it didn't help. You know?
They paid for the thing and they didn't get the thing. You
Yeah.
mean you gypped a whole bunch of Jews?
They're
That's not going to be
pissed.
good. That's not going
No,
to be good. They're
not gonna
really
get
not
away
going to
with that.
forget that. Yeah.
Hey, May the 12th. Put it on your calendar. Let's go to this elk temple and let's see this Queen cover band. I
Okay.
I I can almost guarantee a great time. We can hang
Yes.
out in Tacoma afterwards and make an evening out of it. There's really great pizza in the area. Some places that are open super late too.
Okay. I have the doxies I'll be sitting, but I'll be with them all day on Friday, and I can leave them at some point, and they'll be asleep. Like
There you go.
I'll run them hard uh, during the day Friday, and they'll be snooze machines all night. So yeah, we'll take some time. We'll take some time.
Say hello to
Good.
those doggies for me. Wishing them
Yes.
well.
Thanks, man. And